Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here is your host, Melisa Caprio.
Hello and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, creating the life you crave. How is everybody doing? It's been quite a ride already in the start of 2021. A lot of transitioning going on. How's everybody faring? Are you faring well? Are you stressed out? Do you have a lot of anxiety? Do you need help? Are there people who you could reach out to who could help you? I mean, if you do need help, and there are, please do that, because we have to take care of ourselves, right? We're no good to anybody else if we don't take care of ourselves. If you're looking for some inspiration, when you're on Facebook, you can come over to my public Facebook group. It's called Postcards of Love, and we share lots of inspirational stories, beautiful art and photographs, and heartfelt and uplifting stories, messages, and pictures. So if you just need that little boost, come on over if you're already on Facebook. Each week, I talk about my Magic Monday message, and it's a photograph that I take of a postcard with an affirmation. And this week's, the affirmation to focus on is, I imagine, I believe, I inspire. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, and you're here for the first time, you can see exactly what I mean on any of my social media platforms, Postcards to the Universe, so you can know what I'm talking about. And my guest today, who I'm going to bring out in a minute, Jennye, she's going to share with us the importance of connecting with nature and what that does to our bodies and our psyche. And when I was thinking about this week's Magic Monday message affirmation, I realized how much inspiration comes from our time in nature. And I must be honest, I don't spend enough time in nature at all. I used to when I was younger, but as I've gotten older, I cannot take the heat like I used to. And living in South Florida, it's hot most of the year. So being in nature here for me gets limited to only the few months of the year. If there are even a few months lately, our weather is nicer. I have developed a real aversion to the heat, and it really aggravates me, which does not help with me feeling inspired when I'm outside around here. So what do? Well, I spend a lot of time in my imagination, and my imagination can take me anywhere I want to go. That's probably why I love to read so much. And another reason why I love to read so much, because I get to travel in my mind. And there is science to back up that even viewing nature has benefits. So there's a lot of research documenting the positive impacts of nature on us humans and how we flourish in our social, psychological, physical, and emotional life. There's been over hundreds of studies done showing that being in nature, living near nature, or even viewing nature in paintings and videos can have positive impacts on our brains, our bodies, our feelings, thought processes, and social interactions. And even reading about nature and imagining yourself in nature has its positive benefits. Viewing nature seems to be inherently rewarding. It produces serotonin, which affects our bodies and emotions, and it calms our nervous systems. These in turn help us to cultivate greater openness, creativity, connection, generosity, compassion, and resilience. Nature is so good for us that it literally affects our whole well-being. And who doesn't want that, right? Now, I've been dreaming of manifesting a way to live somewhere else for part of the year, especially in the hottest months, a place where I can walk in nature more. I feel a calling for trees and woods and mountains and cooler temperatures, and I haven't given up on that. I just had to put it on hold because of the pandemic, but I know it's coming. I want you to think about how you feel when you're in nature. How does that shift your energy? What inspirational ideas come to you? What dreams do you daydream about while you're taking a walk in nature? And we're going to talk about that more when Jennye comes out in just a minute. Okay, so I think I told you that I'm working on my second book, and I have been keeping that commitment. Being stuck more at home has benefited me in that way. I'm home a lot more, so I have more time, and I have been working on the second book, and I'm getting more creative in my photography, and there's going to be a lot of photography again in this book. If you don't know, but I think many of you do who listen to my show, I have a book out there called Postcards to the Universe, Harness the Universe's Power and Manifest Your Dreams. And I'll just share a little bit about my book. So have you ever wanted a way to bend the ear of the universe? That is the loving energy behind all creation. Yes, that universe, the one that renders absolute and perfect manifestation. Know that the universe hears what is in your heart. It hears exactly what you want for your greatest life. In Postcards to the Universe, I offer a way to combine art, love, manifestation that will lead you to everything your heart desires. My book is lush with imaginative images and poignant with heartfelt words. So what I do is I intuitively photograph the postcards by each person's specific manifestation, and we get to see the desire of people's manifestation in the world, thus taking the law of attraction to a whole new level. It's very visual, my book, and you can find the book on my website, postcardstotheuniverse.com, which will lead you to get through to Amazon, or if you prefer Barnes & Noble, you can get it from there. All right, quickly. Next week, my guest, Chara Rodiguera, is a mama, mystic, and master of holding sacred space for personal evolution and spiritual practice. She's an inspirational best-selling author, facilitator, self as artist, and creator of Soul Path Yoga. She specializes in sharing life-changing practices and programs that empower us to live with more awareness, skill, peace, and love. Known for her intuitive, poetic, loving style, Chara inspires people all over the world to shine their divine light, live their unique magic, and honor their authentic path. And we're going to be sharing her new book, A Love Letter to the Self, titled Love, Sacred Poems, and Self-Images. All right, so now to get to today's amazing woman. Jennye Zeugner Johnson is a Reiki master, nature spirit liaison, vibrational bioenergetic practitioner, I love that, sound healer, spiritual coach, and writer, focusing on spiritual practices to assist in bringing about peace, balance, and harmony in the world. Her passions, teachings, and writings reflect Jennye's connection to nature and co-creation with the sacred feminine, sacred masculine, incorporating ancient wisdom modalities. Jennye writes a spiritual blog under the name jaguarwind.wordpress.com and is currently writing a novel based on teachings and experiences of ancient Avalon in the curriculum and teaching others how to become one with nature. Currently, Jennye offers Becoming One with Nature workshops and classes that she's going to share with us a little bit more. So welcome, Jennye. Thank you for being here. How are you?
Hello, Melissa. I am great, and thank you for having me today.
Oh, I'm so excited. So why don't you share, just for those of you who are being introduced to you for the first time, a little about your background and what you're doing currently?
Well, I grew up in Asheville, North Carolina, and that's in the mountains.
I love Asheville.
And, it's a
beautiful.
really cool place. It is beautiful. And where I grew up was right in the middle of nature with all kinds of trees all around me. I think we had like 6 to 8 acres where I grew up.
Nice.
And we had this beautiful creek that ran through our property. And so I started off with a love of nature. And I was always strongly intuitive. And since I was very young, I saw what's called auras, if everybody knows what they are, which are energy reflections. And I first saw them around trees.
Wow.
Everywhere I went. And so my background, I have been a speech-language pathologist for a little over 41 years, and I still practice. But the love of my life is writing, and that is incorporated by all things nature. And so I feel like I have been called by nature to, especially during what I call the time since the world changed, of how we can be okay within our own skin, comfortable within our own skin, and how can that possibly happen? And my answer is becoming one with nature. And Melisa, if you don't mind, I'd love to read my favorite quote.
Please, go ahead. Yeah, absolutely.
It just speaks to my heart. This is by Andy Goldsworthy, is a photographer, a sculptor, and a lover of nature. And this is his quote. He says, "We often forget that we are nature. Nature is not something separate from us. So when we say we have lost our connection to nature, we have lost our connection to ourselves."
It's so true. God, it's so true. And how, I mean, I know for you it is, because I know Jennye. We've known each other now for a few years, and we follow each other on social media, and she's always taking pictures and posting from her walks in the trees and orbs of light and all the little critters that she comes across, which I just absolutely love. So I know it's important, obviously, to you, but really tell everybody, how important is connecting with nature and and her elements, in your opinion, for all of us?
It is. I've been doing a lot of research in the last few months, and there is so much science out there. I know this intuitively, but the science matches what I always knew to be true, that when we do not go out in nature, and if we can't, for whatever reason, go outside of our homes in nature, we are deprived. And when we are deprived, we have stress, we have all kind of emotional channels that are stuck within us, and we do not feel free. We feel imprisoned. And science speaks to this. So if you imagine if you were in an institution for whatever reason and could not go outside, you would feel deprived, and you may not even know. Often we don't know what's going on within us. But if someone came along and opened this door, this portal of what I call magic, then the world would change, and it was like we were taking our first breath of fresh air.
Love that. So, I love that. And magic is my one of my favorite words. Magic. I love that word.
Mine too. So I have belonged to an organization called Pachamama Alliance, which you may have heard of. And they started because the indigenous people of the Amazon jungle for a long, long time have been giving warnings out to civilization of what was coming, which is what we're experiencing. They didn't say it exactly how it was going to unfold, but they talked about that nature teaches us how to be with nature. And one of the practices that I do, and not everybody can do this, I realize this, but every day, no matter where I am, I go outside. I take off my shoes and socks, even in the snow.
Oh my God.
And I know. and I walk on Mother Earth, and I look up at the sun, or where the sun is supposed to be, and I thank the sun for the radiance and the warmth that's been given to me and to all people forever. And I thank Mother Earth for the grounding. Now, the really interesting thing, Melissa, and this science backs this up, the Earth has vibrations within it. And
I believe that. I know that to be true. And sometimes I feel it, which is crazy. I do. I feel it. I do. I feel it sometimes, and it's really wild, and it's usually at night. Like, I feel the vibrations of the earth when everything's quiet, and it's at night. I feel it on my bed, which is nuts. But I do, and I know that's what it is. But I don't want to jump in to more, because I have so many more questions, and I want to get in because I know we're just coming up like on that break. Okay. But when we come back, I do want to talk about your connection to because you connect to to nature's elementals, right? So we're going to talk about that. Yeah, okay, we're going to talk about that, guys. Stay tuned. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me the Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
The United States has the highest rate of incarceration in the world. At the Equal Justice Initiative, we believe mass incarceration has to end. There is this presumption of dangerousness and guilt that gets assigned to Black and brown people. We have to confront our history of racial injustice and commit to a new era of truth. There's something better waiting for us, something that feels more like freedom. Truth can inspire change. Please learn more at EJI.org.
Welcome back. So, Jennye, we were talking before the break, and I do want to talk about your connection to the elementals, the elements and the elementals and the nature spirits and fairies and sprites and all that wonderful stuff. And it's just so funny to me because I'm sure I'm not the first one to tell you this, but your voice, your vocal, you sound like you could be like a fairy. You know that, right? Like people have told you that?
Yes, I think I am.
I think you are too. Like a little sprite. That's how I picture you. So before we get into like the fairy aspect and all the elementals and that, what do you feel like when you're in nature, like that nature wants us to know? Because I think that's really important.
Nature wants us to know that we each are totally alive, and that together with our connection with nature, we are going to thrive. And I hear this every day when I'm out in nature, that there is nothing to worry about. And I get tears in my eyes when I hear that.
That's comforting. That's very comforting, especially right now.
It is comforting. And I've asked the question out loud before. I know I need nature, but does nature need us? Mm-hmm. And the answer is yes. Nature and the planet can survive without us, but it needs our connection. And once we accept and set the intention that we indeed are one with nature, our life changes, and incredible, I'll call them miracles, happen in each of our lives.
Wow. Well, you, like, because I've seen what you write and stuff, like, I feel like when you're on your walks and you're taking your photos and you're out there and you're meditating with nature, like, you're actually talking to the trees and the bugs and the animals and the wind and the rocks and everything. And it's like they're talking back to you. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of us are closed off to that. So this will be a two-part question. First, what are some of the things that you're getting from those experiences, those messages? And second, how can, us who don't do that on a regular basis open ourselves up to that?
So, okay, good questions. So first, you have to come up with an open mind and a vivid imagination. I think that's how I first started, because when I saw things when I was a kid that other people would tell me that was only my imagination, that they weren't really there, and that didn't ever stop. And I experienced things, and especially with pine trees and willows were my thing. And once I opened my mind to the possibility that I don't have to figure this out with my great brain, because that's what I thought I had to do, that I can be open to it. And the more open I have become, the more incredible things that have happened. So one of the first things I noticed, Melissa, this was a few years ago. I was still living in North Carolina. And everywhere I went, even if it was a dark, gloomy day, light would appear. Like the sky would light up all of a sudden. And I would go, wow. And I would feel so blessed. And that has happened even more now. And so what I encourage people to do, and I did a free Zoom presentation about this, is to use all your senses when you're out in nature. So instead of just one sense, use sight, smell, taste, hearing, touch, proprioception, vestibular, how we move in nature. That's how all the animals connect with nature. And when we can do that and we start practicing it, we don't even have to think about doing it. And one of the things that I teach people, and this may sound wacky, but pick up dirt with your hands the soil, especially after it rains, and smell that earthiness and rub it on your skin. And when you do that, it awakens your cells. And it's an incredible experience.
It makes sense. I mean, we used to do it as when we were kids, right? We would play in the dirt, and we would dig through and look for the worms and smell the grass and the soil. So I think when we become adults, we're like, oh, I don't want to do that. I just got my manicure, I'm going to get my nails dirty.
Yes.
But yeah, I can see the benefits to that. I love the way the earth smells after it rains, and the soil and the grass. I love that smell.
Oh, yeah. The other thing that I think that has happened so much, we have become so addicted to electronics, like our computers, our cell phones, constantly checking our text.
Right.
And we have forgotten what the ancient people from ancient Egypt, Greece, Rome, long ago knew about the elements, that knew about each season comes to teach us a new set of patterns, a new way of living. And I was talking to someone last night about how I used to say I didn't like winter because it was cold. But winter has taught me it's a time of being dormant, of being still, of reflecting on where I've been and where I want to go. And when we embrace each of these aspects and the four elements, I think you asked me earlier how all of this started. Long ago, I grew up in the Methodist church, but I believed the stuff about the church, but earth-based religion made sense to me more than anything else. And so the four elements are earth, water, air or wind, and fire. And each one of those has a special characteristic. And so my favorite element definitely is earth. Because when I'm out there barefoot on the earth, you should try it. It is It's an incredible.
I can
experience.
do it. I don't know about in the snow. I'd have to build myself up to that. You got to remember where I'm coming from,
But what's really interesting? There has never been one time in my life that when I'm standing in snow or wet earth that I've gotten sick or that I've gotten frostbite. It's never happened because it's a sacred practice.
Well, I think that's part of the longing that I have because I live in a state that has one season, basically, right? Just basically summer, a little spring. We get a little spring here and there. But I think that there's something about the connection to the earth with the seasons and not having them. This is just personal. That doesn't necessarily apply to anybody else but me. But for me, not having them is created a longing in a certain way to be more connected with the earth. Like I'm close to the beach. I have the ocean. I lived in the Keys for 7 years. I was in salt water every day. I've already experienced my deep relationship with summer. And it's time for me to experience the other seasons. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'm glad you said that because I believe that we all have this yearning that we want to get up off of our couches and away from our computers and get out there and be with the trees, with the earth, with what the ocean, the river, the mountains. We have it in our. I know this. We have it in our DNA that we need this. We will thrive when we do it. When we don't do it, we will suffer dire consequences. So,
as we can see, and we have to be very vigilant in our, protecting of the spaces that are still, natural, that haven't been developed. That's so important.
yes. So, I try to look in all. I've been through a lot of things in my life, some very hairy, some very wonderful. And I always try to look at the silver lining because it's always there. So one incredible aspect that has happened to me since the world changed the end of March is stillness. Because I was at a point that I could just sit and be. And a lot of that came from, I practiced meditation for years and years. But I could just sit and be out in nature and just be beyond wonderful with that connection. And I want to bottle that and give it to people.
I'm sure. Well, yeah, because that's the thing, and you're hearing these things. You're hearing things from the trees, and you can see the auras. So, like, what are you hearing from the rocks and the bugs and the grass and the soil? And what does trees' aura look like?
It looks like a light around the whole tree. And sometimes they're different colors. But I wanted to talk about the bugs, if that's okay.
Yeah, well, because I know you especially have ladybugs that are always coming to you, like all the time. You're always sharing your ladybugs that are on your sheets, come in your house, land on your body. Yeah, so I know that the ladybugs especially you resonate with.
This didn't just start. Years ago, I was living in a very rural part of North Carolina doing a job for my university, and my whole house was full of ladybugs.
Oh, my God, that's so funny.
And it's like that where I live now, that they come. But the most interesting things happen. Do you know what stick bugs are?
Yes, I do know what stick bugs are, and I see your pictures of them. They follow you also.
They do.
I know.
Some are like 5 inches long, some are 2 inches long, and I had never seen one until last year. And these things are at my door. It's like they're welcoming me home. and then I have praying mantis that I share a garden with my landlord, and I saw a huge praying mantis at the garden one day, and then I went around the back of my house where all the trees are, and there was another praying mantis, and I thought, how did that get there that fast? And then I realized it was a different praying mantis.
Yeah, and they're cool. They're cool.
But they teach us things if we're willing to listen.
So what are some of the messages that they're sharing with us that we need to hear?
So stick bugs and praying mantises, because they are so very, very still, they are asking us to try to learn just to be quiet and to be very still, to keep our feet very grounded in the earth. And we don't have to figure it all out with our head. We don't. If we will just go into the stillness. And ladybugs, because when you see a ladybug, you're like giggly and joyous, and that's what they come to teach. And they also, they're bringing us luck out of that joy. And let me tell my bear story.
Okay, tell your bear story.
So I thought, I knew there were bears around where I live. I live on 25 wooded acres.
Wow, nice.
Which is such a blessing. And I knew there were bear in these woods. So if I go in back of my house and 3/10 of a mile through the woods, I come up on a railroad track, and that's an Amtrak railroad track. And when the world changed, I couldn't go to my gym anymore, and I was used to going to my gym like at least 3 times a week. And so I discovered I could walk on the rails of the track and get a good workout in. So one day I was doing that, and I looked up ahead. I was on the tracks, and I see this big animal coming toward me, and I thought, that's the biggest dog I've ever seen in my life. and I kept walking toward it, and I went, oh my, that is a black bear coming right at me. And for a few minutes, my life flashed in front of my eyes, and I thought, should I call my landlord and tell him I'm about to be taken out by a bear? And,
oh, my God.
And then all of a sudden, I remembered that I'm courageous and that probably this bear had come to teach me something. So I kept walking toward it. And it ran up a hill and disappeared, but we were very close to each other.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. I just got goosebumps because I don't know what I would do if I ever came across a bear. You know, that would be wild. Oh, wow. Well, I'm glad it didn't take you out, so that's good. I want to hear what you think Bear's message is, but we're coming up to our second break, so I think we should probably do that, because I want to hear what the bears have to say to us. We need to know what the bears want to tell us, right?
Yes, we do.
All right, so let's take our break, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stay tuned.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes. Co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
These are the sounds of a dinner that almost didn't happen. A dinner now served, thanks to people like you. Due to COVID-19, 17 million more Americans may face hunger. Feeding America is helping our neighbors in need. And if you're able, you can too. Donations are being accepted at feedingamerica.org/coronavirus. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Feeding America, 200 food banks strong.
Welcome back. Okay, Jennye, we were talking about your little encounter with a bear. So when the bear ran up the hill and you realized, oh, thank God, the bear did not attack me.
Yes,
because
I'm
sure that was there. Did you feel like there was a message from the bear, or that there's something that bear wants us to know? Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I have known for a long time, I've known a lot of Native American shamans and worked with a lot in my life. And bear has a certain message anyway. But there's lots of bear sightings all over the country and the world right now, and have been for a while. And there's all kind of websites and books. People say, well, look it up and see what it means. I don't believe that. I believe in asking the animal what it came to tell me.
Okay.
And so that's what I do. I go like, what the heck are you here for? And what's this about? So this bear came to tell me, don't you be in such a hurry to get things done and to get things accomplished, because everything comes in its own time. And if you can slow your little self down, Jennye Johnson, then you can see as it develops that one thing has to happen before another thing can happen. And that was why that bear came to me that day.
Well, that's good that you're so open, because a lot of people would just be talking about, oh, my God, they ran into a bear and they're so, they were so scared, and they would miss the opportunity for looking at maybe what's the deeper message of why you encountered, up close and personal a bear. So, but the fact that you're open to that, I think, makes it where you're more.
And I would tell you, Melissa, it's not that I'm not scared, because
no, of
these
course,
things,
it's a bear.
That they freak me out. Like
right.
I have deer that come right up to me, and then they go away. And I have all kind of birds that do that. And this is one of the greatest sounds I love. Sometimes I sit on my decking with my back against the rail, and birds are right above me fluttering their wings, and it's incredible. I love that sound.
Yeah, the flapping of the wings. So, and then you've also, do you see like the elemental world, the fairies and the sprites and the woodland fairies and river fairies? Like, do you see it, or do you just sense them there?
Oh no, I see them. And
wow.
And I always have. And one thing, this gift I came into the world with, and there's no explanation for our gifts, but I literally see energies. Some people feel them, but I actually see them. And I've just had to accept that my whole life. And so, I mean, what choice did I have? And other than to think I'm nuts.
Right.
So the ones I see the most are what I call air fairies. And and somebody else might think that there's something that came from a flower and it's just flying around out in the wind. But I know not, because they are definitely little beings. And in the waters, every time I've been near a body of water, no matter what it was, I've seen these beings, dragons and other things. And if I hadn't had these experiences all my life, I would think I was making it up. But
I know. I'm sure a lot of people would be listening thinking, oh, yeah, sure. But I believe that in that realm, I just think not all of us can see it for whatever reason. Some of us are lucky and we can. Some of us aren't.
So this is what anybody listening, I encourage you to have the intention and say out loud, and I said this for years, I choose to see the unseen.
That's a good, actually, mantra, really, because
and so it is.
a lot of stuff can be downloaded. So what do the fairies want us to know?
They want us to know to giggle, to laugh, not to be so serious, and to float through our own air and be happy no matter what.
Yeah, I mean that would be. I why is it? Are they just? Are they too fearful that they would be destroyed if they revealed themselves to everybody? That we would just
I don't think that at all. I think it's the people that don't want to believe in magic.
So you think that people who want to believe in magic and want to believe it will see it if we're I don't know what the right word is, diligent enough, or if we're consistent in our asking and going and being in the place where it's available and asking to see it. And those who don't believe it obviously will never see it or experience it.
I believe, and it's what you talk about a lot, that if we can find the beliefs that are blocking us from what we want to experience, and we release that belief, then the magic happens. It cannot help but not happen.
Yeah, I think the whole magical world is opening back up to a lot of us because, you know, the time we live in now, there's shows that I can be online talking to whoever's listening right now. It doesn't matter about this, where there was a time that you could never talk about this, right? We could never have these conversations. They would be like, oh, they're witches, you know, burn them at the stake. So the fact, right. So the fact that we're having these conversations and we're seeing shows and books and movies and, you know, listening to things where people are talking about it is saying to me that we're getting closer and closer to tapping into that realm. And you are lucky because you see it. Now, I see stuff out of the corner of my eye all the time, but I've never seen a fairy in nature like the way you see it.
So ask it to show itself.
Okay.
Just say, I'm ready. I'm here. Show me.
Okay. Wow. Now, so when you're walking through, I'm trying to get a visual in my head. So you're walking through, you're doing your nature walk, or you're exercising in nature, whatever, and you're out there. You're just talking to everything. Is that how you do it? And you start receiving messages and inspiration?
It's not like I'm looking for anything to appear.
Right.
I have what I call light beings who are with me all the time, and all these pictures I post on social media, that these incredible light things show up. And
yeah, I know. I see those a lot. Yeah, you have these bright lights that show up for you. I see those a lot when you're posting.
And I think I'm doing a walking meditation, and I have become so part of nature that it's my element. And when I'm out there walking, and especially walking in the woods, things just appear, and they're right there. Or I hear whispers, and I say, what? And I ask specific questions, like, what am I supposed to do about this?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Where should I go? Or is it time to move from this place? Or should I maintain this friendship with this certain person? And things just come to me. And it's my connection with nature. If I'm sitting on my couch, I don't get those answers, I can assure you.
That's interesting. So that's good advice. So if you're out walking in nature, just start asking questions. Ask to see the things that are unseen and ask questions, and you'll start to get messages. I know you mentioned to me during the break that you wanted to talk about cloud gazing. So I want to give you that opportunity.
Yes.
What is cloud gazing?
Okay, so this is an ancient technique that long millenniums ago, they would teach people to look up at the clouds. And we did that when we were kids, and we would see like dinosaurs and alligators and whatever. And
I know.
But one thing that the clouds teach us is nothing lasts forever. Everything is temporary. So if you're looking up at a cloud and it kind of floats away, it is teaching us that if we stay in this very moment that we're in, we are at peace. But if we don't, we start getting conflicted within ourselves. So gazing at clouds takes us into that space of, again, being comfortable in our own skin and being at peace exactly where we are, no matter what's going on around us. It's an incredible practice.
So you lay down and you stare up at the clouds? Because that's what I used to do when I was a kid. I mean, I do it sometimes still when I'm on the beach. If you're laying there and you just open your eyes and you stare at the clouds. So there's cloud gazing there. But I remember as a kid doing it a lot. We would lay down in the grass, in the woods, because when I grew up, I lived in New Jersey until I was about 10, and then we moved to Florida. So I remember in New Jersey doing it, laying in the grass and the trees, the pine trees, and staring at the clouds and picking up shapes. It was cool.
Yes. And if you think about it, everything we did as a kid, if we are willing to do these things as an adult, and let go of this belief that we're supposed to be very stiff and very stand up straight, and just let things flow, we will be happier. We will be better brothers, sisters, partners, co-workers. It will change us. And that's my message about nature. When we are one with nature and we learn how to be with that, being that one, we will release our stress. And if we don't have stress, we're not creating dis-ease within our body.
Right.
And no matter what happens, because we're living in crazy times, we know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's definitely good for your health. We know this, and it can be measured now in science, which is interesting. So for those who think, oh, that's just woo-woo talk, well, it's really not. It's scientific. Nature, being connected to nature, has benefits to your health, and they can measure it. So, right? So there you go. It's not just woo-woo and fairies and
I know.
and elementals. Go ahead, yes.
True.
Yeah, because we only have a few
run
minutes.
Out of time.
So, yeah,
I want to say this. So if you are a person or you have a loved one who is in a hospital, in a nursing home, in an institution, and and you kind of touched on this, and cannot get out in nature, cannot walk in the woods, cannot take a walk every day, watch nature shows on TV, have murals drawn of nature, especially, this is so crucial, listen to nature sounds, the ocean, the birds chirping. It is crucial that we listen to these sounds. I can't say that enough. It's the best medicine I know.
That's a really good, actually, idea. Because, yeah, if somebody's bedridden and they can't go outside, you can throw on a show that shows nature and play in the background. There's so many free things of just listening to sounds of nature that can be playing that would be soothing to the spirit and the person. So I'm glad you got to say that. Okay, we are literally have a minute left, Jennye. So tell everybody where they can connect with you if they want to and learn more about this.
Okay, so I have a website called heartvibrations with a S, healing.com, and they can email me at info@heartvibrationshealing.com. I teach classes. I offer Zoom. People can just get in touch with me. I'll give them free advice because this belongs to everybody. And I'm currently writing what I'm calling a curriculum about how to become one with nature.
Ooh, I can't wait to read that when that's available to us. Are you writing it as a book or are you writing it on your blog or both?
As a book.
Ooh, I can't wait for that. Yeah, I need to figure out a way to connect more with nature. And thank you, Jennye, so much for being here. And thank you guys for listening to Postcards to the Universe.
Melisa, so much.
Oh, you're welcome. With Melisa, creating the life you crave. Wishing everybody a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, and connection. Go connect with nature if you can. Peace.